There is no minimalist rule book. Well, until now. The Minimalists have created 16 rules for living with less, a free ebook which you can download right now at theminimalists.com/resources. Enjoy.
The Minimalists.
Do you see malls shifting entertainment epicenters since the younger generations, like myself, find more value in experiences?
Maybe. So,
Gen Z is changing stuff. Like what they focus on, I feel like it's experiences, it's communal. It is very different, and it's hard to generalize a whole generation, but there are some patterns that you see.
yeah.
So I think that yes, in 20 years, Gen Zers are going to change a lot of how we experience community and how we experience our entertainment.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
And I think Gen Z is shaping a lot of the culture right now. It's permeating up in a way. Part of that is actually negative. I don't like to see that because we don't value wisdom as much. But
value being a smart ass.
Yeah, we are in trends and whatever.
Now I feel those kids are all a bunch of smart asses.
Well, I mean, it's weird. You mentioned generation, so like you and I are technically, if you base it on the original demographic assertion, we're part of Gen X. You are literally the youngest Gen Xer I know. Gen X stops right before Millennial. Millennial means people who graduated in 2000 or beyond.
Yeah. The original, like if I Google it, like we're considered we're born the year that Gen Y started.
Well, yeah, again, so if you
Just
look
depends
at
on we can claim either side based upon what makes sense for us at the time.
Sure, and so I mean, the technical term is zillennial. So there was this 6-year period of like the cuspers, which we are, but I look at you. You started school early, so you should have graduated in 2000,
right?
So technically, you would have been a millennial, right?
Gotcha.
That's why I say you're the youngest Gen Xer I know.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
But I graduated in '99. So did you. By that definition, we are technically Gen Xers, and I find myself identifying slightly more with the Gen X generation.
Me too.
And for whatever reason that might be, and Eric Weinstein actually does this whole bit about Gen X versus baby boomers, and he has this big problem right now because baby boomers are the first generation who are really holding on to power for an extended period of time, and they're ruining it for millennials and Gen Z, and they're actually really ruining it for Gen X because they're not relinquishing power. Gen X might be the first generation that we never get a president who was a Gen Xer.
Oh, wow.
We might just bypass Gen X because you have these. I mean, the people who are in office now are boomers or part of the silent generation even, which is my parents' generation. Wow. My parents are both part of the silent generation.
Wow.
And so they're holding for power much longer, and not just in politics, but in academia. So it used to be 30 years ago, you'd go into academia, you'd go to the University of Dayton or Cincinnati or wherever, and the president of the company of the university was in their 40s or 50s. But now they're all in their 70s, 60s, 70s, in some cases even their 80s. Yeah. And it's like, well, wait a minute. You're not relinquishing. At some point we have to let go, and this is where minimalism comes into the picture, right? We have to be willing to let go when we're no longer serving the purpose.
Dude, it reminds me, I was talking about how Mariah and I finally watched Hamilton, and because it's streaming now, and dude, George Washington, the fact that he stepped away from his power, because he knew it was the right thing to do, and he had one or two choices. Like he either started to fall in line and become a crony himself, or he could be like, I'm going to set an example for what we should do.
Yeah.
And you don't see that happening too much these days. No, it's admirable,
and it set this beautiful expectation, which, by the way, we didn't even have it as an amendment that there were only 2-term presidents because everyone just followed suit until FDR, which I would argue that was not the best outcome, having him for 4 terms. I think Sean would agree with me on that one.
Yeah. All right.
He was 4 terms, right?
He died in his third.
I thought he died in his 4th.
Yeah, it was like 2.5.
I thought he was elected 3 times.
He was elected 3 times.
Yeah, so he died in the middle of his 4th term. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
But he was the only president
suit
to have more than 2 terms.
But most people would just be like, they bowed out after 8 years, and then He's the first one that was like, I don't have to bow out.
And after that, that's when we changed it.
Yeah.